The opening poem to the book is mine, which is flattering, and it's called Sometimes I Wonder. Sometimes I wonder what it'd be like if the creationists were right to watch the gods carve mountains. Like a potter sitting with his block of clay, smoothing softly, deciding where her curves will lay. I grew up, my summers were always going to Montana at my big family reunions, and the setting was always outdoors, largely by rivers, and then the day trips would always be up to the mountains, whether it was Beartooth Pass in Montana or places like Glacier National Park. Every day was filled with a new hike or an adventure. Rafting was really popular, cliff jumping. We did it all, and in the winters we skied. Basically, being outdoors was just like the background to any of my free time I ever had with my family. Environmentalism started kind of being imbued in my value set because of my two older sisters. I actually waited until the very last day to pick my major because I was so torn. I really love English, and I really love literature, and I love writing, and I love getting into poetry and getting into those philosophical conversations that come with finishing a novel. But then I also really was passionate about the environment and what's going on as far as climate change and all that I had learned leading up to that point. That was a subject that I felt like I wanted to do something about. So I was really torn between English and then environmental engineering. But I ended up deciding to do environmental engineering because I knew I could always turn back to literature for my own enjoyment and for good conversation. But learning the technical skills for the environmental engineering would give me a platform to actually use my education to do something that I really cared about. An AIAD is an academic individual advanced development. So it's some program you look into, and it can be between 2 to 5 weeks, basically where you're taking your own time independently and delving into a specific topic to learn more about it. So my fall semester English teacher spearheaded this AIAD by himself to take 4 cadets to Alaska to do a little backpacking and see the area and kind of use that as inspiration to write some poetry and hopefully by the end of the trip make a book out of it. Right when he told me that, I had already chosen environmental engineering at that point, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. Alaska had always called to me because reading Krakauer, Call of the Wild, and even Jack London, that was so exciting to me, kind of that raw wilderness. For 2 weeks, we went around Denali State Park, Denali National Park, Kenai Fjords National Park, plenty of national forests, and we just got to see the outdoors in all of its wonder. It was really awesome. We found inspiration everywhere. So while we went and did these hard hikes and finally got to the top and your heart is racing, but then you're overlooking this incredible valley and mountain ranges behind you, it was kind of a time to reflect. Once you get to a view like that, it's hard to feel anything but connected to everything around you. And so that was a source for a lot of our inspiration. But on the flip side, we also would go to these really run-down little diners where you could just see the locals who had been there for years and years talking to the waitress who knew their order so well. And that was equally inspiring for just enjoying every moment you got there because it had so much personality. For the last 3 days of the trip, we kind of camped out in a coffee shop. Each of us chose 9 to 12 pieces, whether they were poems or essays that we decided really emulated the trip, and we polished them up and peer edited them, and we basically put them all together to make the book. Well, West Point's perfect, and a lot of people wouldn't agree with that if you're going through the day-to-day grind just talking to a cadet. But for me, just being able to walk from my team room or the soccer fields back to the barracks under a beautiful night sky with a ton of stars and no light pollution, and you see the Hudson River down right below you, and the fall foliage and the clouds kind of kissing the hilltop. It's hard for me to say, wow, this place really stinks. You know, you look out and you're just nothing I can say or do would ever be able to kind of transmit the beauty that's around me.